Today, we're talking about a really fundamental change in how we're all going to work with AI. It's something called the Agentic Paradigm shift. And really, it's all about moving away from these simple chatbots we all know and towards something way more powerful, digital caseworkers.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're trying to get something done, and you're just trapped, going in circles, getting the same robotic, unhelpful answer over and over until you just give up and type, "Speak to a human." It is such a universal frustration. Well, here's the good news. The time for that kind of frustrating, limited AI is officially running out. Seriously, we are right in the middle of this huge shift, a move from AI that just talks to AI that actually does stuff.
Okay, so let's get into it. And to really understand where we're going, we first have to talk about why the chatbot model we're so used to has kind of hit a wall. What exactly is its glass ceiling?
I think this is the best way to think about it. A classic chatbot, it's like a digital receptionist. It's helpful. It can answer some basic questions, point you in the right direction, but that's about it. A digital caseworker, though, is more like a digital practitioner. It doesn't just answer your questions, it actually executes tasks for you. It's not just following a script, it's reasoning its way toward a goal. And, maybe most importantly, it doesn't just give up and route you to a human. It tries to solve the problem all on its own. So when you boil it down, chatbots really fail us in three big ways. First, they have zero contextual memory. You tell it something, and 2 lines later, it's completely forgotten. Second, they can't actually do anything. They can't go into a system and update your account, for example. And that leads directly to the third problem, this massive human escalation bottleneck, where every real issue just gets dumped in a human's lap, which honestly just creates more work and more friction.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's this completely new class of AI that we're calling the digital caseworker.
And the engine powering these things is something called agentic AI. The word to focus on here is autonomous. See, this isn't just about making text or a pretty picture. It's about an AI that can actually perceive its digital environment, reason through a problem, make a plan, and then go and execute that plan. It's the missing piece of the puzzle that finally connects all that AI intelligence to real-world action.
This is probably my favorite analogy for it. It's just perfect. A chatbot gives you directions. It gives you a set of instructions, and then you have to do all the work. But in agentic AI, this digital caseworker, it's the chauffeur. It understands your goal, your destination, and it handles every single complex step to get you there, navigating all the traffic and roadblocks along the way. So how does one of these things actually think? Well, it's kind of a 3-step process. First, you give it a big goal, like process this insurance claim. It then breaks that huge goal down into smaller, bite-sized steps. Second, it uses the exact same tools a person would. It logs into software, it accesses databases, it uses APIs. And third, and this is the magic part, if it hits a problem or an error, it doesn't just crash. It actually tries to course correct, finds another way, or figures out what it needs to ask for to keep moving forward. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But is it real? Where is this stuff actually making an impact? Let's take a look at how this new type of AI is already doing the heavy lifting in some really complex industries. Take the public sector. Just think about the insane backlogs for things like government benefits. A digital caseworker can literally read a 50-page PDF application, pull out all the important info, check it against other government systems, and then prep a perfect summary for a human to make that final decision. It can turn a process that takes weeks into something that takes just a few minutes. Or what about healthcare? We all know getting a prior authorization for a medical procedure can be an absolute nightmare of paperwork and phone calls. Well, an agentic AI can read a doctor's notes, check them against complicated insurance rules, and instantly approve the routine stuff. This is a total game changer for getting patients the critical care they need without those agonizing waits. And even in the business world, think about something like onboarding a new hire. A digital caseworker can manage the entire thing. We're talking setting up accounts in dozens of different software systems, assigning licenses, granting the right permissions, all of it, automatically. A process that easily takes IT a couple of days can now be done in minutes. Now, look, whenever we start talking about autonomous systems, a really big, important question always comes up. What about safety? What about human oversight? And the key here is that these systems are not designed to just run wild. They are built from the ground up with humanity in the loop. So, deploying this stuff responsibly really comes down to 3 big pillars. First is explainability.
every single action the AI takes is logged and traceable in a clear audit trail. Second, boundaries. We set very clear limits on what it's allowed to do, making sure it gets human approval for critical things, like, say, sending a payment. And finally, identity management. Each agent gets its own unique digital ID, so there's always accountability for its actions.
So how does a company actually get there? Well, it tends to be a three-phase journey. First, organizations have to enable the change by teaching their people about AI and putting those ethical rules in place. Then they start to embed these agents into everyday workflows to get those efficiency wins. And finally, they can evolve, using this incredible new capability to completely reimagine their entire business. And this really brings us to the ultimate point of all of this. The goal of this whole agentic shift, it isn't to replace people, it's to amplify what people can do. By letting AI take over all that high-volume, repetitive, administrative stuff, we free up our human teams to focus on the things we are uniquely good at: empathy, creativity, complex problem-solving, nuanced human judgment. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. Just imagine, for a second, that you had your own autonomous, super capable digital coworker that could just handle all the tedious, boring parts of your job. What would you do with all that time back? What are the bigger, more interesting problems you could finally go out and solve?